All right, we're gonna make this one quick. A few months ago, I did a day 1, day 2, and day 3 territory battles map out of what my guild does, and I stopped there. And the reason that I stopped there was that day 1 we do all day 1 planets. Day 2 we do all day 2 planets. Day 3 we obviously do all day 3 planets. But pretty much for any guild that isn't at the very tip of the sphere, once you get to day 4, the planets shift around because there is preloading involved. So I kind of elected to stop at that point. However, over those several months, I've had many people reach out to me saying like, "Hey man, like that was really great. Are you planning on doing the rest of them?" So since I'm on summer break, I'm gonna try to get at least day 4 out there. Day 5 can be tough because Saturday mornings I teach, and day 6, obviously, I'm doing brunch. So my day 6 is on parade anyway. Um, for day 4, we do Dathomir, which is a day 3 planet. We have Mandalore unlocked. We have Zeffo unlocked. We have Kessel, which is a day 4 planet. And we have Lothal, which is a day 4 planet. So I will, of course, go over each and every one of them. If you are somebody that needs specific help with a specific planet, I will make sure that there are chapters for you to jump around on. And let's, I guess, just get right into it. Okay, so here's our TB map. Like I said, we have Dathomir, which is almost complete. So I think I might actually start here. I think we'll be safe. There's about 30 million. I want to just check each of the planets, make sure that there's not something that I can do right off of the bat and not be locked out of. We should be okay. So I think we can go left to right. So Dathomir, well, the first time I did a planet breakdown with day 3, Dathomir was in a different position for us, and we were unlocking platoons on day 3. We've actually shifted that now because we preload Dathomir, and we don't have any platoons on day 3. We do have them on day 4, but it doesn't matter, right? Because this only works on day 6 anyway. So if you are someone that likes to do their combat missions early on, this is definitely a planet where you can get things done pretty much right away. I've already completed the special mission, which I use an old DACA lead with very high health mods on her. And the rest of my Night Sisters are modded fairly highly. I found the mission to be very easy on manual, but it can be difficult on auto unless you are very specifically modded for extremely high health on old DACA because of phase 2 and Dash throwing so much damage with his AoE. However, with my current modding, which is my regular modding, I have never lost to the mission on auto. So, take that for what it is. This Empire mission is, I've never done it without Lord Vader, so I don't know how easy or how hard it is without Lord Vader. I have tried it with Tarkin plus the clones plus the Apocron in very recent history, but I don't know. I'm disappointed with Tarkin in general. I thought that with the Apocron that it would kind of unlock potential for that team. And spoiler alert, it does not. Now, I do have all of the clones, right? So that's going to make the mission very easy for us. I have found the mission is always easy with Lord Vader as long as he has a pretty decent tank. These guys on Dathomir hit very hard. They can take out a GL like nobody's business. So you want at least 1 or 2 characters in there that can take a couple of hits and deal with the resurrection counter without having to with allowing it to kind of reset just in case you lose a couple of characters to allow Lord Vader to ramp up, right? So you can see with that timer going down, every single attack, every single action that gets taken, it drops down from 10, and once you hit 0, everybody on the board revives. And that kind of means that if you have any anti-revive mechanics in your kits, it can be extremely, extremely helpful. Dr. Afronode, the only team that I have found to work there, or I should say, I will for once give Fat Phil credit for this one. Afro, Darth Vader, HK-47, General Grievous, and BT-1 seem to work very, very well. I mean, you can see my HK is not really intentionally modded. My Vader is intentionally modded, but has been ignored in the last 5 years. Afra's very clearly intentionally modded. General Grievous has very decent mods from the old days, and then BT-1 really needs some love, right? So it's not like I have the best mods in the world. I will say that this is not a 100% win rate mission if you are doing it on auto. I have lost it, I want to say twice. Twice over the last 6 months. So, take that for what it is. I would prefer, if I had a choice between doing something on manual and winning 100% of the time, and doing it on auto and win it 80% of the time, I'm gonna do it on auto and win it 80% of the time, because I don't have time for that. If anyone has something else that wins this particular mission with Dr. Afra, no, I'd love to hear it, but given that your lead is locked out, I think that, there are going to be very few options that are not just some sort of modifier on what we're doing here, right? We're giving Afra a chance to stack up lots of Siphon, and putting her with characters like Vader, who has Merciless Massacre and can take lots and lots of turns in a row, and Grievous, who's going to ramp up his health, and it certainly is very helpful. I don't think it's the longest mission in the world. There are certainly longer ways to do the open missions, and we'll talk about that once we let these guys hit. Look at that. Almost 3,000 Siphon. Beautiful. BT-1 with his flamethrower. Love it. Now we have 2 open missions here. And I use different things between the days. So on day 3, I use SLKR with DS Ray. I do it on auto. You do have to have pretty okay mods. I don't think my mods for First Order are amazing. They're fine. It wins. I actually lost this yesterday, and it was the first time that I have lost this battle with DS Ray. Without DS Ray, it is a difficult battle, and First Order and SLKR is a crapshoot. It wins sometimes, it loses sometimes. Everybody just gets deleted. I have found with her, it makes it a lot easier, which is why I've thrown her into the rotation. On day 3, I also use the Enoch Omicron. Oh my god, excuse me. I also use the Enoch Omicron. It's a long battle, which is not always a problem when you're doing things on auto, right? On auto, I just kind of like hit my phone, I walk away from it. But if you are in a time crunch, it can take a while. On day 4, I shifted that over to a pop-up help lead with C, right? C obviously has anti-revive. Once you do get to ult, you can't put him in the leader slot, because if you do, he stops all revives from Sith, and that makes things problematic. I have found the team with pop-up help lead to be pretty reliable, even without Bane. However, without Bane, it is so long. With Bane, it's long, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Let's throw that one on. Will let me sneeze a little bit more, and then we'll keep talking. All right. You can also use Night Sisters here if you're doing a 2-day. Obviously, if your Night Sisters are eligible and you're only doing a 1-day, you're going to want to throw them on the special mission. I believe I use them on Kessel, and I do platoon a couple of them, which makes it a little bit more difficult. I know Trench also works on Dathomir. I don't know the team comp. My Trench is still firmly sitting on the bench, but it's definitely something to look into. I believe Jabba works here, and I know that sounds stupid. The only reason why I would say that is I've been in situations where our middle has outrun our dark side, and where I couldn't do the middle mission anyway. It is a little bit harder because he loses some of his light side team to some B tiers. So it's a very niche situation where you would ever want to do that. Very, very unlikely situation. You see, this can just, you know, you can kind of like partial auto and target, and it'll make this a little bit easier to do. That wasn't so bad for the first chapter of it. And only 22 ult. In the old days, what I would do is I would just run it on auto basic to kind of build up ult. But it takes like 10 minutes. But once you have that ult, it makes it a lot easier. So that is one way to speed up the mission if that's something you're concerned about, but it still is something that's going to take a decent amount of time. Right? You can see, because his Link ability, anytime an enemy with Link takes a hit or takes a turn, he gains ult charge. You can also intentionally set up the links if you kill zombie and he takes the next turn, and then you put it on somebody that's not zombie and somebody else who's not zombie. That can make it a little easier. I think we're in good shape here. I don't... Oh, there we go. We're gonna end up killing all these guys anyway. We just need Bane to build up tons and tons of health, or wait for that ultimate. Oof. Oh, good. I think some of them are anti-revived, which will make this a lot easier. I don't know why. Oh, Darth Revan and Deathmark, I think. I don't know if that's only if he's in the lead slot, though. Come on, guy. We're gonna speed this up, hopefully, and see if we can. There we go. We don't want this to be a 3-hour video. Now, the nice thing is that the DS Ray team, it is a much faster battle, win or lose. And again, you know, in the last 6 months of doing this, I have lost the battle one time. Obviously, I'm going to lose it again now because that's just how life works. But you can see these guys just do tons of damage. They spank everybody. Now, one thing you can do to speed up the battle if you want is you can manually control SLKR just enough to give him a few siphon stacks, because you'll kind of notice that when you have so many characters on the board, he very, very rarely uses his poke. And if he doesn't use his poke, he doesn't build up siphon, and if he doesn't build up siphon, then characters just don't die the way that you want them to. Saw that he even died in that last onslaught, right? It gets very hairy, but I would surmise that if you were manually playing this with DS Ray, it's not too terribly hard. Oh my god. Well, this might be a loss. Turn it on manual for a second. Let's hope for the best. You're not gonna want to use the other Kylo Ren, by the way, because he's just gonna lower everybody's health with his specials, especially when you're autoing. If I can get Kylo a turn, we should be okay. There we are. And if I can kill a couple guys while he is in ult, we should even be more okay, which would be really nice. But of course, a stupid ghost had to die to Sith Trooper. Now that we are getting Siphon, though, it should be fine. We'll be alright. There we go. Perfect. So Dathomir's done. Right? I know that Dathomir is one of those planets that everybody just hates to do. But it's not so bad once you have the right tools. Let's move over. We'll skip Mandalore for now. We're going to move over to Kessel. Kessel, we do not put platoons on day 4. We preload Kessel so that on day 5 it is a little bit easier. The platoons, they help. They're not, you know, the greatest thing in the world. They're not game changers. I never do battles before the platoons. Or I never do battles after the platoons. I always do them before the platoons. I've never really noticed any type of difficulty with them not done. The important thing to remember is that when doing these battles, if you use a special ability, you get confused. And if you get confused, you have all these detrimental effects, and it can be problematic. So teams that rely, or teams that can't avoid that or have problems with that really struggle. I have really struggled on Kessel using like JML, though if you throw Hezra with them, I'm pretty sure it is very easily doable. As we get into later days, I throw Hezra with his proper team with Ahsoka. Quad mate team, I have won with, I have lost with. It's not, let's actually go into my team comp so you can see. It's not the most reliable thing, but I do throw it into my rotation if I remember correctly, just because I have an open slot there. Here are my NS Jabba. Jabba's a super easy auto. This is labeled as NS Open Iffy, and the reason why it's labeled NS Open Iffy is specifically because I do platoon some of my Night Sisters generally, and I just throw Third Sister in there and Piet in there as like kind of sort ofs. Believe it or not, it sometimes works on auto. I'm just as surprised as you are. I do it because I have nothing else to throw there, and you might as well, right? On day 5, what do we use here? All right, a little bit more open. Leia works there just fine on day 5, right? I have this guy platooned right now. With Cat, JMK works there just fine. You want Padme in there to kind of help clear the confuse and help with the tenacity and blah, blah, blah. It works really, really well. I don't think it's the hardest planet in the world as long as you have cohesive team. That's really what it's about. The one part of Kessel that is difficult is the fleet mission. And we'll talk about that one, last. But you see these guys are on full auto. They kind of just rip through it. It's a low damage, high stacking team, so it does take a few minutes to get through. Especially with Bosch Leia taking so many low damage, high thermal turns. I do wish there was an auto, no ult. That would be great for keeping thermals up. Perfect timing. Doesn't always work out that way, but it makes life a little easier. I've never lost this battle. If you end up using this team and losing this battle, it's definitely a modding thing. Because I have never once been in a position where this is lost. I would be very surprised if it did. Now, the one thing I will say is, like, if you have to platoon any single one of these guys, I think you can get away with it. You're going to want Cursitan in there, but if you have to platoon any one of the others, you should still be relatively fine. That's day 3. Oh, no, we want to be on day 4. Silly me. Day 4. Let's just see if this works, right? Again, the NS, a full Night Sister team here works really well, and you can actually underman Kessel with 4-man. So if you have, like, Mother Talzin, Old Daka, Zombie, and Merrin, you don't even need to put a 5th in the team, and it'll still win. I like to throw the other 2 in there just because when we're not dealing with having Merrin, there is some degree of uncertainty. But you can see, like, it's really Plague that's doing all of the work for us. It is nice going into round 2 with Third Sister still having revives available. That certainly helps us. Good. And we can also see that those stacks of Confuse, they don't negatively affect us the way that you would think that it would negatively affect us. Alright, we have lost our stack. So hopefully Third Sister does not die again, but we should be okay at this point with our enemies starting to die. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now, for this last battle here, we're going to skip it for now, just because I did not set that up in my day 4 planning. And I don't really remember what I used, so we're going to go back to that last, I guess. For the fleet battle, we have to use Ghost, which is very annoying because I don't find Profundity to be useful in this battle at all. I still do use the Executor, and I throw Punishing One in there. It makes it a little more reliable. This strategy has worked since before Punishing One. You would throw Razor Crest in there instead. The goal here is to take this nice and slow and steady, so I'm actually going to basic with Houndstooth, because we don't want Houndstooth, of all the ships, we don't want Houndstooth to get confused. And even though everybody is fine on their health, we are going to heal Houndstooth so that he gets a taunt, right? We are going to go counter to what we would normally do here and use some moves with our Punishing One, because we would like to get to a point where we can get that death mark out there. If we were playing without Punishing One, you're basically playing an auto basic game, and it's slow and it's steady and it's not interesting at all. With Punishing One, you can play a little bit more offensively and not be too concerned about the confuses on your other allies. Perfect. Got our death mark. Right, that's going to make life easy because we can get rid of that Houndstooth the next turn. Beautiful. We're going to throw Slave 1 in. Now, what happens with this battle completely depends on what happens with this battle, right? So it's not always played the exact same way every time. Sometimes you gotta throw Razor Crest out there first. Sometimes you throw Slave 1 out there first. It depends on who gets hit. It depends on who the enemy sends out. It's always different. It depends on if you got unlucky dodges. But it looks like we have a very, very, very straightforward battle here, to the point where I can throw it on auto now. The enemy Executor does not ult, right? So sometimes you get down to the point where if you don't have Punishing One, where you literally only have Houndstooth left, and it is still winnable if you throw it on auto basic for a while and you just heal when you need to heal, and you use your ult twice, right? But it's long and boring. Again, we're gonna skip this battle for now. We're gonna move over to Zeffo. Zeffo, we do have the platoons. However, our goal is to beat this fully on auto. These platoons are active use. I suppose you could use the first one right away and then hit auto. I have found a few different things here with Ray. I used to do this with Ben, but with Baby Cal in here, in this team, it actually makes it far more reliable on auto. With Ben, it's like a 60-40 win rate. You know what? Actually, since the beginning of the battle, we might as well use that buff, right? Let's give it to, what does this do? Now it already has the mark. 10% mastery each time an ally uses a special ability. Alright, let's give that to Cat. The thing that well, there's two things to know about Zeffo. There's one, a lot of taunting in this battle, and it can take a considerably long time. But 2, in the other battle with the droids can only take damage. They can only die if they're stunned. So, you know, CLS is a team that people like to use. I like to use Gungans. I don't particularly find it to be a tough planet overall. I don't think it's that big of a deal as long as you have the right teams going into the right battles. The one thing I will say about this planet, about this battle specifically, about the other open battle, I am so sick of these probe droids. It's not that they make the battle hard, but because they also taunt, they can significantly prolong the battle, especially if you're playing on auto. It's on like every planet. Between Zeffo, I think Braca has it. I'm not 100% sure about that. Kashyyyk has it. Lothal has it. It just, I'm tired. Stop with the stupid frickin' probe droids. Just make my life a little easier. Right, because you can see here with the probe droid having taunt, we're now hitting the probe droid and have to kill it if we're playing on auto, but we're going to switch target in the interest of time. The one cool thing, if you have not played Zeffo before, is that when we go into Phase 2, we fight a friggin' ATST. And annoyingly, that ATST takes a million turns in a row and does a ton of damage, but Baby Cal really, really helps with that and keeping that bonus protection up so that your whole team stays alive. If you don't have Baby Cal on the team and you're using Ben, it does 100% become a crapshoot of whether or not you even made it to this round with all 5 of your characters surviving. And no, Cat's Leap does not work on the ATST. Boom, and down. Beautiful. Now, kind of like we said before, this is, where is it? This guy right here. This is the open mission. You need a stun on this team, and you need a stun on the team that's not going to die, because if you lose your stun, you cannot finish the battle. In the second round, the characters have to be stunned before they die. It's annoying because, you know, it prolongs the battle. And it's a very specific win condition. Most people bring CLS in here. I've tried it. It hasn't worked with my CLS team, but I know mine is modded a little bit weird. I do have the Tarpals Omicron because of course I do. And that's what I throw at this. And it is a beautiful cacophony of balls just flying everywhere. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is these guys over here, the cannon fodder, if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, that cannon fodder, I think, has to die before the other droid can die. I don't remember that from looking at their kits, because I'm not going to do that. That's too much effort. But just from experience of watching the battle, it seems like you do have to kill these guys. And just in the interest of time, we're playing some targeting here. But it's not necessary. I've never lost this battle with the Tarpals Omicron. Gungans without the Tarpals Omicron not so great. I have tried the battle on some alt accounts, some friends' accounts, to help them out with their TVs, and it just doesn't work the same way. Right, and once again, these guys, you need to stun them, and I think only one of the Gungans has a stun, and it's on like a special move or on a counterattack or something, so it can be a little annoying, like waiting for that. Why are they moving so slow? Come on. Right, just a sit and wait game. There we go. Now, just that on Zeffo in general, the way that we do Zeffo, we actually don't put any deploys to Zeffo at all. We have found as a 2-day planet, if you preload it on day 1, you do the platoons on day 2. We have never needed to put any deploys here. This planet's going to complete itself. You know, we are at the higher end. Everybody should have a team capable of doing these battles. If you're on the lower end of Zeffo, that may be different. But effective use of your platoons and operations can really make or break a planet of engagement. All right. Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. I have the Omicrons. With the Omicron, this is super easy. You only need one of them. I have 2. I have the Whirlwind one for Seer, for the unlocking Zeffo mission. It's not really necessarily a super tough mission as long as you have the lead Omicron. I throw Jedi Master Luke and Jedi Knight Luke in there just to speed it up. You do need half-decent Jedi, right? You can't just throw randoms in there. I have found trying to do that, you are going to lose. But overall, if you've got half-decent Jedi and the Jedi Knight Cal Kestis Omicron on his leadership ability, you're going to win this battle. Because this is day 4 and our other planet is Lothal. Lothal is pretty easy. Don't need Jedi Master Luke there. But also keep in mind that this mission is worth more than a normal TB mission. So if you're looking to star the planet at any point, it does make sense. It does make sense to prioritize this one. See, there's just lots of taunts here, which does help to negate that probe droid, especially with Luke and his spell. Then the end of this mission is pretty much like the unlock mission. It's not a full round. So if you get there, you're pretty much fine. You know, really, as long as you've got Cal alive, and he should be alive if you prioritize and put an okay team with him. You see, 3 guys, super easy. You could use Cal to take out Second Sister if you want. We're not gonna do that, just to kind of show you that it really doesn't make the biggest difference in the world. You know, it's not like you're fighting this with Seer and Cal and don't have any other team. You've got a whole team backing you. don't even have forced targeting on, so they're just kind of like attacking whoever they want. Boom. Done, right? Easy. That finishes out this planet except for the fleet. I do want to point out, because I do this in day 3, the special mission. Just to show you who I use, we will go over here and select squad. I do this in day 3, and I use Rex Lead, 501st, and Captain Rex, and I throw that on auto. My clones, they're pretty well modded from the old days. I haven't touched these mods in a while. You can see Echo and Arc Trooper not as great. Captain Rex, because he's, you know, Phoenix, part of the Leia squad sometimes. I have lost it, I'd say, about 10% of the time on auto. So it's not really the hardest mission in the world. Now, the fleet mission with Negotiator can be tough. I have this here, Zeffo, auto, swarm first, and that swarm first note is that no matter what happens, no matter who gets damaged, no matter who takes a hit, I always use the mass attack first. And if I always use the mass attack on Negotiator first, on the Hyena Bomber, I have, I'd say, about an 85% win rate on auto. I've seen it lose. I think it actually lost yesterday. So hopefully that'll not be the case today. It's very rare that it loses. And generally, if you are watching the battle, it loses at a point where you just have droids left or swarms left, I should say, and you can typically say, okay, I'm gonna throw this on manual and make sure to take out the one swarm that is not a summon, and win fairly easily. Right, we didn't need to do that there. You can see, done, easy. Right. See, we're making good time here. 42 minutes. Going on to Lothal. Lothal is easy. Or I should say Lothal is easy with its platoon, right? So Lothal's platoons is basically this right here. Whenever an ally critically hits on the turn, call a random ally to assist. So it's like assists on assists on assists. Now, I have the Lothal platoons active right now because I waited specifically so I could film this. I typically do not have Lothal platoons active, and I'm still able to complete these with the teams I have available. Unfortunately, I do not have the relic levels to bring these guys to where they need to be right now. Otherwise, I would also do that battle. Let's see who I'm using. Day 4. So our light side open, I'm using Leia on day 4. Right? Oh yeah, I am using Leia on day 4. You can use Ahsoka here, JML here if you don't have Zeffo open. I have used CLS team here. I tend to think, especially if you have platoons, as long as you have a cohesive team, you're pretty good. And again, this Leia team, even without platoons, is going to do just fine. With platoons, you see they just keep attacking because they just keep critting. So everybody's just going back and forth. I use Mon Mothma because I like having a sixth character. You don't You don't need to. You could throw any rebel in there that you want, and you're going to be fine. I like the extra healing. I like the revive in there for a couple of them who are rebel fighters. I like having the dispel. It's not super necessary. You can see, right? Like, other than the fact that there are stacks and you have to get through those stacks, that this battle is very easy. I have won it with mishmash JMK teams with like Han Solo on the team. It's not tough, especially when you're waiting and you have the platoons active. It is arguably, to me, one of the easiest planets in TB. The hardest part of it is having the relic levels to do it. You have R8 Gungans. Gungans will work here if you, for some reason, are, maybe you preloaded this and Lothal is a day 5 planet or a day 6 planet. Again, I cannot stress just how easy this planet is, especially with platoons. If you have cohesion, it will win. Same thing, right? And there's nothing else. Like, you don't need Cat. I don't even think I need General Skywalker in here. You just kind of have him in here. Now, because JMK without Cat is like a heavy ramp, like slow damage team, it's gonna take a while, to get that ramp up. It's probably why I have gas in here, is to get a little extra damage really early. You can see that they take so many turns, they do so many crits, they hit like wet fucking noodles. But once we start getting some ults in here, we'll stop chipping away. One thing you can do to make this a little bit faster, which I'm gonna do just in the interest of time, is you can shift this over to a scout trooper. Those scout troopers are obviously going to die much, much, much faster. So you can use that to burn down their stacks. It's not necessary to do that. No, it's really up to you. We're going to do the same thing in round 2. Again, it's just in the interest of time. You can take out the officer first if you want, which, we might as well, because the officer does not have stacks. But he does hit pretty hard, once we get past, like, bonus protection and damage immunity. So we'll hit that scout, burn down these stacks. Fine, we'll hit that scout. And now it's just a waiting game. Da-di-da-di-da-di-da. Boom. Done. Okay. Now, my favorite part. The Lothal Fleet mission. This mission is so easy. You can use profundity if you want. I think I platooned my profundity. I did. You don't need to. I just love that I can use Radis with comeuppance here. I don't think I've ever lost it. I've mostly put it on manual. I've been putting it on auto recently. So I don't have enough data to say that auto is 100% reliable. But I will say that I haven't lost yet. And it is really nice because a lot of people don't know how to use their fleets and they don't understand, so they just assume they have to use Radis or they have to use profundity. So it's really nice when you can, you know, platoon your profundity to help those people out. They can use theirs, and you can just delete ships with comeuppance with no problem at all. Right? You can see, like, I just love being able to do this. I don't know why, if not just because Radis is not considered like a super great fleet. So the fact that you can pretty easily knock this out of the park. You can do the whole trick where you get the stacks on the Millennium Falcon, and then you wait for the comeuppance and, you know, make sure that it has 3 stacks, and it's beautiful and glorious, and you do tons of damage. You really don't have to. You're gonna win. Beautiful. Love it. I really do. I love it so much. Okay, now we're gonna go back to Kessel, and we are going to just kind of try, right? Back to Kessel, and we're gonna do Galactic Republic. Gonna throw these guys in. Let's throw Plo Koon in there. I have beaten this on manual. It does not work as well on auto. So we are gonna hit auto because that's just what I do. But I just really want to stress that I'm not expecting it to win on auto. Right? Just those confused stacks, and they do a lot of damage, and it's a whole thing. If we win, we'll be surprised. Right, and we could force target these guys in yellow. Sometimes for science you don't do that, just to kind of see what happens. Alright, we've got a 1 for 2 at least. If we end up winning this, it'll be the first time I've won it on auto. Though, I will be honest, I do normally throw Cup in there, not Plo Koon. Maybe that helped us a little. Getting under protection for Padawan Obi-Wan certainly does not hurt. I can get him to get another turn, maybe do an AoE again. That would definitely make me feel a little bit more confident. But as of right now, I mean, seem to be doing pretty good. Well, those Padme heals are coming in clutch. Might change this in my... I might add to my rotation with Plo Koon. I think we got this. I think we got it. You could see, like, again, like I said before, though, I had never beaten it on auto, but I have beat it on a manual. This will be the first time I'm beating it on auto, and you can kind of see how it would be a lot easier on manual with the targeting. I'm just very specifically choosing not to do that right now. Okay, that makes up for a few losses in the other days I have unfortunately had to do. Excellent. I'm just going to check on these. So this is 12 of 15. So I am going to assign that disobey order. Oh, to make sure that that platoon gets in where it needs to. I am going to check. I don't have anything for this. So our last planet is Mandalore. We do not have platoons on this day. You can see, you know, the level 1 platoons helps everybody. The level 2 platoons help everybody. Level 3 platoons helps everybody, but really if Mandalorians are in the team. So if you have a Mandalore team, that's what you're going to want. It's not the easiest planet in the world. I have found that Ahsoka's team and Leia's team can both do this open battle. They can do it on auto, though I have lost once or twice with Leia, and I do prefer a guided auto. I try to take out the Dark Trooper first in Phase 2, and that usually seems to work the trick. Again, I have used Jabba here before I had him R9 for Vandor, and does the trick as well with his team, but it's just a very niche situation since predominantly you are going to be using him on the neutral planet. Sometimes you do not get out of this first phase without losing somebody. It really doesn't matter. Ezra and Ahsoka do pretty much all of it. If I had wanted to, I could have taken Exile off of Ezra first, and it may have sped the battle up. It seems like the game wants me to take Exile off of him last for whatever reason. Alright, once that taunt is off, again, I feel better if I can kill the Dark Trooper first, because the Dark Trooper does do a lot of damage. Once the Dark Trooper is down, I don't really feel any more worry in this battle. It's that scout. There we go. Thanks for that AoE. Okay, now I intentionally brought up my Dark Trooper team for this next battle. My Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. Show you the team that I use here. Right, so using the Lost Boys here and Dark Trooper is my personal preference. The Captain Enoch. Gonna get more health. Yeah, other Imperial encounter. Yeah, so the it works. Without the platoons, right? So the platoons would help a little bit, and it wouldn't help on the level 6 because you don't have Mandalorians here. But the platoons definitely do help a little bit. I have found on auto this team to be about 50-50 reliable. They are basically always good for getting 1 of 2. They do not always go 2 of 2. Just depends on how the kill orders happen in phase 2. Dark Trooper very rarely makes it out of phase 1, but you know we're on auto. We get what we can get. We have jobs. We have things to do most days, so we want to get this stuff done as quickly as we possibly can. And there goes. I was really hoping that Dark Trooper was gonna maybe survive this round, but can't have that. Now in round 2, it really comes down to these guys and how much damage they take when they kill our guys and who they kill. Because when they kill our guys, that Enoch Omicron is going to take into account. And it's going to drop these guys down nice and low. And it's really nice. But if the wrong guys die, it can make it basically impossible to do enough damage. I like to kill Bo-Katan first. They really want me to kill Paz first. No. You kind of see guys die, and then you counter kill them. Beautiful. It worked. I'm glad it worked. Generally, when I film these things, they work a little bit better. Can't do the Bo-Katan mission. It needs an R9. I actually think, like, if we weren't so strapped for R9s right now, it's not a terrible idea because that mission is worth more. I use Leviathan here. I do auto it. I'd say about 80% of the time it wins. Because of the Gauntlet Starfighter needed, I'm sure the game wants you to use an Empire fleet. I've honestly never tried it with an Empire fleet. I'm not in a position to try it with an Empire fleet. I want to use the thing that I already know is going to work most of the time. Thing with Leviathan is just getting around tanks. Once you get around that tank, you're pretty much good, but you gotta get around the tank. And I know it doesn't have taunt anymore, and I can get around the tank, but, you know, not as much fun when you're not autoing it. That's the true measure of breaking the content. Now we could use the MK6 basic here to take out an enemy ship. Kind of the same reason. Two reasons really why we're not doing it. One, I'm trusting the computer to do that for me when it needs to. But two, having a lot of stacks can be very, very helpful here. When you start to get low on stacks, you know, that's where the battle gets risky. Even if MK6 is the last ship standing, if it's got 60, 70 stacks, it can take out the rest of this fleet just with the capital ship. Okay, well, that's our phase 4. Hopefully some of you found it helpful. I know other people have a lot of people have asked me to do this one. If you have any questions, I don't have the source loaded up, but again, on our Discord, we have the TB library. It is it's out of date by about like 4 months, but it is the beginning of the summer for me, so it is one of my projects that I plan to get caught up and up to date before I go back to school. Look out for this, and well, I guess you can't look out for this if you're already watching it. We'll try to get a day 5 one out there at some point, but again, because I work on Saturday mornings, that'd be tricky. With all of that said, peace out and have a great rest of your day.